With my chest.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Conrad and Kathy DeMattias here. We are about 16, 17 days away before the book releases, My Journey to the Center of Love. And yesterday, everything got loaded. We're waiting to hear
Back from Amazon.
And this is, a really, really exciting time. So I wanted to kind of go through a lot of the videos that we've been doing. I kind of was like all over, it, just kind of feeling where I needed to go. But now I'm ready to kind of like start from the beginning and kind of go chronologically each video, each day as we get to the book. It's time for me to start doing the audio version, to get the audio version done. And so there's a lot of things, that are on the list to do with this. It's exciting, but it's also nerve-wracking and putting yourself out there in a major way. And a lot of the reason that we chose to honestly do our videos in bed was it was a fluke. We didn't it wasn't like we had planned this. We were at Wyndham. We are Wyndham timeshare owners, and we've loved our vacations that we've been able to go on. And when we were in Williamsburg, of all the timeshare companies that we could have gone with, and we checked out, 3 or 4 before we...
Well, yeah, it was Split Rock in the Poconos. It was Massanutten, which we bought, but it was a Great Eastern. And then it was Wyndham, and then we did Calypso K after we bought Wyndham, but that was a joke.
Oh, I don't know that you should say that.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, I don't know that we should say things like that. But for us, Wyndham was who we loved. Like, Wyndham spoke to us, and Wyndham is who we went with. And we've really loved a lot of our Wyndham vacations.
Right.
And the whole idea of us having a bed and breakfast was basically, to do the same thing that they do, is to invite people to their destination and to be able to enjoy a vacation and a family experience together. And so it resonates with me. To be able to go on vacation speaks to me. And I think growing up and spending my summers on the lake did speak to my soul, because it's like you got away from life for me. I got away from life for practically 3 or 4 weeks, while I got to be in Maine, at the lake with my grandparents, and that is something that resonates with me. And when it came to wanting to take our clients someplace, you would do for others what you would do for yourself. And what we did for ourselves was Wyndham. And so extending that invitation for couples to take the class, the classes that we've put together, has been, that is what spoke to us. Now, I'm going to be real honest. Conrad, do we argue?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there days that we are going to, that we just feel like we're going to throw in the towel?
There are days, yeah.
Okay. Have we done it?
No, we haven't.
No. So we're just like any other couple. There's going to be days where the pressure of life, implodes in front of us, and we're going to react to it. It doesn't mean that we don't have a strong marriage. It doesn't mean that what we did didn't work. It did work. Otherwise,
we would have thrown in the towel.
We would have thrown the towel and packed bags and said, we're done. But the foundations that we laid that has helped our marriage, be strong. And it's funny because, like, our kids are older. We have kids that are 27, 25, and
23.
23. And, you know, writing this book was extremely stressful and challenging for us as a couple.
Yep.
All of our kids have said to us that we've been arguing and arguing and arguing. And it's just because this last year was so stressful,
Yep.
so stressful. But we've keep trying to tell the kids, we're not divorcing, we're not divorcing, we're going through a big shift within ourselves. And and this is new for us. That this is very new, where for years Conrad and I never really argued at all. But this year was a lot of changes, and a lot of, when your life is changing. It's funny, my coach, my publishing coach, wrote a book called "Congratulations, You've Just Lost Your Job." and to be quite honest with you, this the over the last few years, I knew I wanted to change the direction in which I was working. I had been traveling as a massage therapist for 20 years. And, every night I had clients, and I had fabulous clients. I was so lucky to have great clients that I did. I had literally some of the cream of the crop people in Wilmington, and I really, really, truly had great clients. But I knew when I could no longer pack my table up anymore, and I knew I couldn't do it anymore. I was coming up on my 17th 18th year of traveling, and I just wasn't I just couldn't do it anymore. It my I did not I just didn't have it in me anymore to travel to one house, unpack, do everything, do a few appointments, pack everything back up, go to the next house, and unpack again. And I knew that I needed to do something where I could cast a bigger net, and reach more people with the same amount of time. So it's not that I don't want to travel. I do want to travel.
Right.
It's just that to only affect one or two people each time I travel is just not the way for me anymore. It does not resonate with me. And I'm really more interested in a group of people, in a much larger group, and taking what I've learned and really spreading it out over this. And I'm going to use the fishing net as the analogy because it really is the best one. When we have a single fishing pole in our hand, we're only catching one fish at a time. But when we use a net and we throw a whole big net out, and then if you've ever been in a boat, and those nets are running along the water as the boat is running, it's going to catch a lot more
fish.
It's going to catch a lot more fish. And writing this book with the intention to be doing public speaking and teaching our classes and putting the curriculum together that we wanted to teach has been, really, this is what is in the net. This is our bait that is on the net. This is, what we wanted to do. And the best way to do it was, to use our own marriage as the example. And yes, there's been days that, we are pulling our hair out with each other, trying to figure out what each other one wants. And that's just because we're having a communication issue. But this is the thing that I've noticed that I thought was really, really interesting. A lot of times when you're typing, you know how you have a typo and you wrote the wrong word and you meant to write a different word. And usually, if you're texting somebody and you see the typo, you usually go back and write the word that you meant. But if you really look at the other word, usually it'll strike you. And the same thing happens when we're talking. And I've often, like we'll say the wrong word. And I've come to realize that in itself is a clue that there's a pause, that there's something, that there was a reason why that flub up happened. And I've been paying a lot of attention to that in my writing. And I most especially do it when I'm texting my editor about something, and when there is a typo, and I'll see the typo, but then I let it go because I want him to catch the typo and see if it'll resonate, like see if it resonates with him.
Right.
And it's just like my own little experiment, because I'm like, I think there's something going on with these typos with our guides. And I think they're trying to get our attention in something. And this is the way, that they go about it. Because a lot of times if you read something and there are no flaws whatsoever, you just keep reading, you just keep rolling. But when there is a flaw, you stop and you go back, and the first thing you do is start to comment on the flaw. Like, there's a flaw here. They missed this. And it makes you keep going back and rereading it until you figure out what was the author trying to say. What were they trying to say? But the point is that it happened. This was where that typo occurred was a pivotal point.
Right.
And they're trying to get you to come back to that particular space and time and re-look at this and go, look at this, look at this, look at this. And I think, it's been pretty amazing because, a lot of times when we have an argument over something, it's a miscommunication.
Right.
Like, you'll say something to me and I'll go, oh, but you said such and such. And you'll look at me, go, no, I said this. And I'm like, no, you said such and such. So I'm trying to figure it out. And the thing is if we can be consciously aware enough that this is a time where our angels are going, right here, this is right, yep, right here. Pay attention, this part's important. We want you to keep coming back to this. Because there's something that needs to be worked out here. But usually we're too wrapped up in the blame game to be aware of the fact that our angels were trying to get our attention on something. And I've been noticing this more and more and more. And I really feel like it's time for me to bring this to attention, because this is a lot of the reasons why couples have these big miscommunications. And it's because, in all reality, they want you to look at it from two different sides of the coin. Flip a coin, flip a coin. There's one coin, right? Well, a penny is only worth, actually not even worth a penny anymore, but they still, that's funny all in itself. But let's just say for shits and giggles that penny is worth 1 penny. And when one side has got one image and the other side has got another image. But if you look at that coin, there's still a ridge to the coin. There's still something in the middle of that coin. And if you pick up that coin and you hold it by the spine or by the edges, you can tell there's 3 sides to a coin. Like, there's 3 different dimensions to that coin. And just as in your communication, there's what was coming out from me, there was coming out from you, but then there was what was really trying to get done. And what's really happening there is it's really a, if it's typing, it's a subtle little, hey, we want you to pay attention here. If it's in our conversation, it doesn't wind up being subtle in the end. Half the time it winds up being a full-blown argument.
Right.
And in all reality, your guides are trying to tell you, alarm, alarm. Here is where you guys are, you guys need to pay attention to this. But many times we just get so caught up into the argument that we have forgotten what the lesson was, because we wind up going off onto these whole arguments, and we're so afraid to have an argument again that we don't come back to what they were trying to show us. And then we go past that. So then our guides go, here we go again. We're going to have to do this again. Great. Here's going to come another argument, because they're not realizing what's happening.
Right.
And it takes a long, long time, number one, to even recognize that this is what's happening. And then from that point, you have to start, in my case, I had to start collecting evidence. My hypothesis started several months ago when I was writing this book, and I would notice that my computer would go absolutely haywire. And all of a sudden I would be writing something, and it would go scanning back, scanning back, scanning back. And there was one particular thing that happened in the very beginning of my book. I adjusted it. Somebody had said to me, well, if you write something, if you put something in there and somebody, doesn't like it, they could come back and sue you for it. And when that person said it, I knew exactly what they were talking about. And I was like, you know what? I was like, you are right. You are right. So I went back and I went to change the word. I went to change it. And as soon as I did, the computer started scrolling backwards, and it scrolled up to the very first chapter that I wrote, where I said, I did not want to lie anymore. And what I meant by that was, when I was young, when I tried to tell people of the visits that I was getting, nobody believed me. And it was very stressful for me, because I was telling people the truth, but they couldn't handle the truth. So it was easier for them to just say that I didn't know what I was talking about, or to say that I was a liar. And and I gotta be honest, as much as what I love my father was the one who accused me all the time of being a liar. And that was hard. So I couldn't believe that my dad didn't believe me when I was young, trying to tell him the things that I was seeing. So to not get in trouble with my dad, I just learned to lie to him. And it was interesting, because my father was a cop. But the one thing that I really noticed, is cops really always kind of want to look at the bad at everybody. I don't know that I know, I see a lot of the things that happen with my father growing up. And I just was like, man, and then I see what's going on around in the world, and I wonder about their training. Like, are they really trained to see the worst in everybody, and to not to see the best in everybody? And and I wonder about that. But when it came to that part in that book, when I went to adjust those words, and it scrolled me all the way back to the very beginning, where I said I didn't want to lie. So I had to go back to that passage and write it in a way that was the truth, but was not offensive to anybody. And so I still said the truth. I just took out elements that did not need to be there and to sugarcoat it. Like I just sprinkled it with some fairy dust is basically the best way to write it, is I sprinkled it with fairy dust. It's still the truth. I just did not tell the whole entire picture. So, because basically I don't really feel like being sued. That's the reason. So I took it out because I don't feel like being sued. So, but anybody who knows the story knows the truth, and that's that. But it made me wonder a lot about why don't we tell the truth in things. And a lot of times the reasons why we don't tell the truth is because we are so used to being persecuted, whether we tell the truth or whether we lie. Like, no matter what, we're persecuted for it. And so I can understand why people would start to lie, because they can't tell you the truth, because the truth, you don't want to hear it. I know that. I mean, there's things with my kids I don't want to know the truth on, but and it's hard. It's difficult, There's they're your kids. Sometimes your kids are doing things that you would not want to do, or you don't want them to do. And though it breaks your heart to watch it happening, I have to remind myself constantly that this is their journey and it's not my journey. But it still affects me because they're my children. And it's so hard. It's so unbelievably difficult watching people struggle with life. We all struggle with life. We all have days where it seems like, someone's pissing on our parade. And it's really, really difficult. But then there's other days where it seems like the sun is shining, and the sun is shining so bright, and it gives you hope. And a lot of the reasons why I wrote this book was because I wanted love for myself, and I wanted love for, I wanted us to have a better, loving relationship. I was striving for us to have that. You work towards what you want. And what I wanted with, I think it's fair to say that you wanted that too.
I did.
We had to work at it. It didn't come naturally. My husband was raised without a father. So he did not see parents kissing. He did not see parents doing loving embraces. He didn't see any of that. And so he didn't see arguments between his mother and father as well. He didn't see it. It was not a part of his picture. Me, on the other hand, I grew up with my parents. So not only did I see my parents argue, but I also saw my parents hug each other. I saw them kiss each other. Mm-hmm. I was lucky enough that I never walked in on them, but my sisters all did. So I heard from them, they still are having sex. That is a wonderful feeling, to know that your parents are still having sex, because that means that they're still willing to do that with each other. Mm-hmm. So honestly, don't be so afraid to have your kids hear you, or have your kids, walk in and seeing something by accident, because you might think it's embarrassing, or you might think it's going to traumatize them. Let me tell you what, you divorcing is a hell of a lot more traumatizing than them seeing their father's ass in the air. And that's just all that there is to it. There's a lot of things that are more traumatizing. Mm-hmm. And and I would much rather traumatize my children by them seeing us naked in bed having sex than traumatize them by saying we're splitting ways.
Right.
So what's the lesser of the two evils here? you know? And and I think it's time to be truthful about things and time to speak the truth. We live in a world that shames us for our human nature. And we have so much stuff happening right now with sexual harassment going on, and and I just think it's time, that we have, these talks. We are highly, as our nation, we are highly dysfunctional when it comes to intimacy. When it comes to intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
and and I know from my own personal experience that when intimacy was denied me in my first marriage, I sought it. And then when and going back further, my father was a cop, and my father saw probably a fair share of molestation charges or things like that. So my father was not a touchy feely type of father. He did not give us hugs. But I would imagine it was because of the worry of him being a, accused of, sexual misconduct. If he would, like if we were sitting on his lap, or or something like that, because a lot of people do look at that and judge it. But
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, as a young woman, I missed that part of my father. I missed and that feeling of knowing that I was safe with my father. So what I did was looked for that comfort in another man. So, you know, and I think it's only natural for us to want human touch. And, a lot of times, like I slept in a bed all by myself. But my favorite time was when my sisters slept in the bed with us. And me and my sisters, me, Jessie, and Sherry, would all sleep in my bed. And we would all take turns scratching each other's back in the bed. Sherry always slept in the middle, and Jesse and I were always on the outside edges. So Sherry always had to scratch a back, but she always got her back scratched too. And Jesse and I were on the outside edges, but we were there for each other. And we were there for each other growing up, comforting each other, because that's all we had. And then as we grew up, you know, I know from my own personal experience, I I was missing that touch from my father because he was afraid to he was afraid of something, inappropriate happening. And so and I understand that, especially in this day and age. I understand that. But the truth of it is I'm still our bodies crave touch. We just
Mm-hmm.
do. We crave touch. And we crave the human experience. And when we are being denied it, for whatever reasons we're being denied it, we're going to seek it elsewhere. And that's just all that there is to it. We're going to seek it. So, what I see is a breakdown with people not knowing, they know what it is that they want. They want human touch. They want to feel this, yet it's being denied to them. And the reason why I really wanted to teach couples how to massage each other is because I wanted to show them how to lovingly touch each other, how to lovingly do that. And and that is, you know, I see all the problems that we're having out here. I'm seeing where there's a lot of people losing their jobs, for inappropriate conduct. And the bottom line is if you're searching outside of your marriage for, for something, it's because it's not in your marriage. It's not. I mean, like, it's not. You're not going to break up your happy, you're not going to break up what you have if you're having all your needs met. And it's when you're not having your needs met that you're going to start to realize you need to do something different. And then that's when you start to search. And I've realized over my career as a massage therapist that people are craving, they are in such desperate need of touch. They're in such need of being touched. And as much as what I loved my job as a massage therapist, I poured all my love into massaging people because I loved to be touched as well. I loved to have so I loved to give that because I loved to receive it. So when I was massaging somebody, I was in that human experience. And it was my husband. So you want to say this part?
What part are you referring to so I know what you're talking about?
When it come to how you wanted me to touch you. How did you want me to touch you? Massage you?
Sexually.
Sexually.
Yeah.
When did you ask me to do that?
Years ago.
Years ago. How did I respond to that?
You didn't want to.
I didn't want to. Why?
Because you were like, this is my job, this is what I do. And you felt uncomfortable.
I felt uncomfortable. What I ultimately was doing was denying my husband. And I was denying him what he wanted because I did not want those lines blurred. And I literally had to walk away from I had to walk away from massaging men so that I could wrap around my head how my husband wanted me for him. And this was difficult. It was difficult because men was my livelihood. I made way more money off of massaging men than what I ever did off of massaging women.
Just be careful saying that.
Well, I mean, but it's the truth. I mean,
right,
I didn't. I mean, there was.
Well, right. I know you didn't do anything, but
right.
You gotta have to.
Well, right, but I mean, but it was just because more men are wanting touch,
right,
than what I think, and women deny themselves touch. They don't spend the money on themselves to get a massage because their kids need shoes and stuff like this. But men, this is what I have found in my 20-year career. Men want touch. Men desperately need touch. They want that desperately. And if they can't get it from their wife, they're going to go someplace else. And that's all that there is to it. And my husband was lucky enough that I massaged him and I had sex with him, but I just didn't put the two together. And it was when we started to put the two together that honestly, it was fantastic. It was amazing. And then when we added energy work to it, it really blew the whole thing out of the water. And I'm sitting back here looking at a world that is so completely screwed up in this. And I know what helped us. I know what helped us. And I'm going to be honest with you. The devaluation of massage therapists happened with the discount Groupon site, the discount sites. Mm-hmm. And when those discount companies came out, I started sounding alarm after alarm after alarm to all of my colleagues. Do not purchase these. Do not do these. You are going to devalue yourself. You're going to devalue the profession Okay. You're going to, he's got to go. You're going to devalue the profession. And I've, I sounded the alarm off for that. And the bottom line is, you know, I'm noticing right now in our area, the massage envies are under attack. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. Most massage therapists that work in a massage envy make $10 to $12 per massage. Now, the average person can only do 4, maybe 5 tops a day in massages. So they live for the tips. So if you could do, so if you're making $10 an hour and you can only work 4 hours a day because this job is that physically demanding, it means you're only making $40 a day. It's not sustainable. And if you get a $20 tip, then that brings you to 80, maybe you got $80 that day. It's not sustainable. And it's just not sustainable. So it puts people in positions to be desperate to make money because realistically, your home or an apartment, you're looking at $1,000 or more a month. Your electric bill, $200 or more a month. It's not sustainable. And all of this stuff has crashed this massage industry. And I saw it happening. I knew it was happening. And, I talk to massage therapists all the time because we're trying to figure out what to do. And so I've loved massage. I've absolutely loved massage. Massage was there for me when my children were young, and I could wrap my schedule around my children's schedule. I was in massage when the massage money was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I was making anywhere between 80 to pretty much $100 per hour. So I was making enough money. I was bringing home like $400 a day, enough to sustain my family and take care of my family. And now people are looking at $40 to $80 a day to sustain their family, and it is not sustainable. So, so it's quite clear the reasons why the massage industry is collapsing. You guys have been in competition with each other. You guys have got to start banding together. I hate to say the word union. I don't want to say union, but you need some sort of organization because you guys are all in competition with each other. And competition means prices go down. Prices going down in a service industry is not a good thing. It 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 means it means I'm going to give you less. And that's the bottom line is if you want to negotiate with me a lower rate for my time, I'm not going to give you my best. You didn't want it. You didn't want the best. You wanted the best price. You didn't want the best quality. So I can still be there for you at that lower rate. I'm just not going to be there 100% for you because you're only going to get what you pay for. And that is in anything. If you build a house and you only want to spend a certain amount of money on that house, you're going to have to sacrifice something. So either quality craftsmanship goes down or quality in materials go down or let's just say you needed a $20,000 beam, but that needed to go. And 2 boards needed to be slapped together that were less expensive. Well, then you don't have the quality there. So money is energy. And people don't want to understand that money is energy. But when you think of value and you think of what is worth, you have to think about yourself there. You're not paying my rate. You're paying what you're worth. What are you worth? So if you're going to go today and you're going out to get a pedicure or you're going to get something, and the person working on you, you only want to pay them $10, $15 because you got it on this deal, then that's what you got. That's what you got. And we know this. We can get good examples of this in a restaurant. You know the quality you're getting if you go to McDonald's. You know the quality that you're getting if you go to Chick-fil-A. It is a big difference. And there's a difference in the price. So it's going to stand to reason that when you pay more for something, you're getting better quality. And when it comes to a professional working on you, you're paying for their experience. And if you don't want to pay for their experience, but you want them, then you're only going to be able to get whatever slice of them they're willing to give you for what you were willing to give them. And so it's important to figure out what you are worth. If you are worth, so before you go and get a service with somebody, or before you decide to take money out of your pocket and pay for something, that's for yourself. That's for your own benefit. You have to determine if you are worth it. If you are worth the price of what that person charges. If you determine you are not worth $150 an hour, then you can't work with that person who charges $150 an hour, because you're not worth the $150 an hour. This is all about determining your worth. What are you worth? So when it comes to determining who you want to work with and what that individual charges, if you want the best, you're going to pay for the best. That's all that there is to it. And which I've said before, I said to one of my clients the other day, if you want me for $10, I can sell you a bar of soap for $10, because that's me. I made that soap. I put all of me into it. If you want me for $10, you can get it in a bar of soap. But the soap is phenomenal, and you can bathe yourself with what I made every single day for probably a good 2 weeks, depending upon how you take care of that bar of soap. So moving forward, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I have been putting together curriculums to help people, and I've put it together in a couple of different ways to make it affordable. If you just want the workbook and not any of the products, that's one price. If you want the products to go with it, to kind of the whole package thing, that's another price. If you want to work with us one-on-one, that's another price. And if you want to work with us within a group, that's another price. You have to determine what you're willing to pay for how you want to receive. And that is completely up to you. You get to determine that. So you'll get to determine what you're worth based upon what you're willing to pay. And there's nothing wrong with it. I did this in 3 different ways. So I did this, we did love kits. So the love kits come with the manual, the lesson, and then it comes with the products to guide you in what to do. The second thing, and it does get more expensive, is to work with us in a group setting. The price is much lower to work with us because you're in the group setting. But we've chosen to do these at hotels, and we chose the Wyndham Hotel for us. The last part would be to work with us individually, one-on-one, and that is more expensive because it means that we're devoting all of our time exclusively to you, whether it be for 3 days or a week or whatever it is that you have, whatever it is that you guys want us to train you with. So there's 3 different packages that we put together. I do everything in threes. 3 is my number. So there's 3 packages for you to choose from. The lowest package, which is the manual and the products, will come out every 6 weeks. So we are setting it up so that you have your first lesson and the first batch of products that comes with a workbook and a way for you to journal everything. And then in 6 weeks later, you'll get the second product and the second lesson that will come with all of that. And it'll continue. And that is honestly the most affordable way that you're going to be able to work with us. It is the most economical way for you to do this in the privacy of your own home. The second way would be the vacation series. And I'm going to be honest with you, I love the idea of the vacation series, but not everybody is going to be able to afford that, and not everybody is going to be able to do that. But for the people who can, we're going to be able to meet you there. And then for the people who can afford us on the larger scale, one-on-one, they don't want to do this in a group and they don't feel qualified to do it by themselves, then there's a price for that. So there's 3 different ways to work with us. And equally, each way I've built to give you the best of the best of the best with what you could afford. So that was what my worth was. I had to determine this year what I was worth and what I felt, where I felt I was. And that is the number. Those are the numbers that I have come up with. Those are the products that I have come up with to put everything together. This has been a lot. This has been a lot for me to do to change how I was working as a massage therapist. And I changed for my marriage. I changed so that I could give and receive from my marriage what I truly, truly wanted, which was intimacy and closeness. And it is 20 years of experience in the massage industry that I am bringing to teach you. I've worked on countless people. So I have a vast amount of experience to bring to the table. I've worked on men, I've worked on women, I have worked on children, I have worked on babies. I've been doing this for 20 years plus because I massaged my babies when they were born, and my babies are 27. I massaged my father when I was a little girl. I'm 47 years old. I've been massaging almost 40 some odd years. I'm not wet behind the ears. I know what I'm doing. And I'm ready now to extend all of my knowledge to help individuals and couples learn how to receive the loving touch that they want, and that they desperately need. So I am ready. I'm ready to send this out to the world. I'm ready to do this. My journey to the center of love comes out on December 15th. Our open house is at our house, 20 Green Ridge Road, Newark, Delaware, 19711. We will be serving light refreshments from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. We'll also be doing little hand scrubs, and I'm sure little readings, book sign, whatever happens. Spirit will, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Then we will be at Misha Books that Saturday, the following Saturday. And then we're going to be in Newport, Rhode Island, and we're going to be doing our book signing at the Inn on Onshore. So things are starting to come together, and I've got a lot of work to do to put this information together to give to people. There's a lot going on. Websites need to be built. There's a lot happening right now. A lot is happening. And I want to thank you all for listening. I want to thank you if you've gotten this far in the video. Thank you. Thank you for listening. I'm doing my best. And I hope you understand what I gave up and what I did to be able to do this. I gave up my livelihood this year. I gave up an income to be able to put this book together, because I believe that marriages are in trouble, and that we need a new way to look at things. And I gave up a car. I haven't had a car in 2 years to do this book. I gave up 95% of my income this year. I gave up to do this book, to get this rolling, because I believe that people need saving in a different way. And I believe people need to know and to be able to receive and give loving touch to each other. And use the energy of that to create an everlasting, deeper bond with their partner, to make them impervious to the blows of life. Doesn't mean that the blows of life aren't going to come. It just means you can weather them better. This is Kathy DeMattias. Thank you very much for tuning in. We look forward to meeting you. Have a great day. Bye.